The Radical Power of Softness, Revolutionizing Success Through Vulnerability. Welcome to a transformative journey that challenges everything you thought you knew about power, success, and personal fulfillment. I'm thrilled to share with you today the groundbreaking insights of an extraordinary visionary who is redefining what it means to live a life of purpose and impact. Our guest, Tanasia Poke, is not just a leader in her field. She's a revolutionary thinker whose ideas are reshaping the very fabric of how we approach life, work, and relationships. As a high-powered executive in the utility industry, a dedicated mother, and the driving force behind a thriving wellness organization, Tanasia embodies the multifaceted nature of modern success. But what sets her apart is her radical approach to achieving that success, an approach that turns conventional wisdom on its head and offers a powerful new paradigm for personal and professional growth. Tanasia's journey is one of transformation, resilience, and profound insight. Her work in environmental justice and sustainable energy goals has not only shaped industry standards, but has also paved the way for a more equitable and sustainable future. But perhaps her most impactful contribution lies in her philosophy of soft living, a concept that, as we'll explore today, is far more revolutionary and powerful than its name might suggest. Before we dive in, I want you to take a moment and reflect on what strength means to you. What does power look like in your mind? How do you define success? Hold those thoughts because I promise you, by the end of this talk, those definitions will be challenged, expanded, and potentially revolutionized. Today, we're going to explore a paradigm that turns everything we think we know about success and power on its head. We're going to delve into the radical notion that true strength doesn't come from hardening ourselves against life's challenges, but from embracing our deepest truths with unwavering courage. We're going to discover how softness, yes, softness, can be our greatest source of power, innovation, and transformative change. Now, I know what you're thinking. Softness, in a world that often equates strength with toughness and success with relentless drive. Stay with me, because what Tanasia Poke has uncovered is nothing short of revolutionary. Let's start with a story that encapsulates the core of Tanasia's philosophy. Picture this: a high stakes corporate meeting, the kind where careers are made or broken. Tanasia, already a successful executive, had brought forward an innovative idea that could reshape her industry. It was the kind of breakthrough that most professionals dream of, a moment to shine, to claim your place at the top. But when the time came to take credit, Tanasia stayed silent. She watched, heart sinking, as a colleague claimed her idea as their own. In that moment, she felt a deep sense of betrayal, not just from her colleague, but from herself. She had chosen politeness over authenticity, others' comfort over her own truth. And in doing so, she realized she had been living a kind of lie. This moment of painful clarity became the catalyst for Tanasia's revolutionary approach to life and leadership. It led her to a profound realization. True softness isn't about making yourself small or pleasing others at your own expense. It's about creating what she calls sacred space, a way of being that honors your deepest truths and values, especially when it's uncomfortable. Now, let's pause here and really let that sink in. How many of us have swallowed our words, buried our feelings, or dimmed our light because we thought that's what it meant to be kind, to be professional, to be soft in a positive way? How many of us have equated strength with an ability to endure discomfort rather than the courage to address its root causes? Tanasia's journey challenges us to redefine softness entirely. In her words, softness is not the absence of boundaries, it is the creation of sacred space. This perspective flips the script on everything we've been taught about personal power and professional success. It suggests that true strength lies not in our ability to push through or overlook discomfort, but in our willingness to examine it, to sit with it, and to use it as a compass pointing us toward greater alignment and authenticity. But here's where Tanasia's insights get even more revolutionary. She posits that this kind of softness, this radical accountability to our own truth, is not just a personal practice, it's a powerful tool for problem solving, innovation, and social change. Consider Tanasia's work as a gas connections manager. In this role, she's tasked with navigating complex conversations around environmental justice and sustainable energy goals. These are high stakes discussions that could easily become adversarial or bogged down in rigid thinking. But Tanasia approaches these challenges through the lens of softness, bringing empathy and curiosity to the table. She asks questions like, how can we center both practicality and possibility in this conversation? How can we honor the human experience while striving for technical and regulatory excellence? By creating this sacred space, this soft, open field of inquiry, Tanasia has found that new solutions emerge. Stakeholders who might have been at odds find common ground. The seemingly impossible becomes possible. This approach to problem solving and leadership is a far cry from the hard charging top down models we're used to. It suggests that our most innovative and impactful solutions might come not from pushing harder, but from opening up, from creating space for all voices, all perspectives, all possibilities to be heard and considered. But Tanasia's philosophy goes even deeper than professional applications. She speaks compellingly about the role of healing ancestral wounds in cultivating this kind of transformative softness. This is where her work takes on a profound spiritual and cultural dimension. Tanasia's own journey began with deep-rooted trauma. Before she was even born, her father was lost to police brutality. This tragedy shaped her family's dynamics and her early sense of self in ways she couldn't fully comprehend until much later in life. For years, she carried the weight of unspoken grief and generational patterns of emotional suppression. It was through her work with Queen Afua and the Sacred Woman Journey that Tanasia began to see softness not as a luxury, but as a necessity for healing. She learned to approach her inner child and her ancestors with compassion, creating a bridge between their struggles and her aspirations. This connection to lineage and legacy became central to her message. When we heal ourselves, we heal generations past and future. This perspective adds a whole new layer to the concept of softness as strength. It suggests that by embracing our vulnerabilities, by acknowledging and working through our pain rather than armoring ourselves against it, we become conduits for generational healing. We break cycles of trauma that have persisted for decades, even centuries. Imagine the implications of this on a societal level. What if our leaders approached national wounds with this kind of soft strength? What if our institutions were built on principles of sacred space and radical accountability rather than defensiveness and denial? The possibilities are staggering. But let's bring this back to the personal level, because that's where real change begins. Tanasia shared some powerful practices that have been transformative for her, and I believe they could be game changers for anyone looking to cultivate this kind of soft strength in their own lives. First, there's the power of affirmation. But Tanasia uses this daily reminder. I honor my softness as a source of strength and clarity. It's a simple statement, but it challenges us to reframe softness entirely. Instead of seeing it as a potential weakness, we're invited to recognize it as the very foundation of our resilience and wisdom. Then there's her practice of sacred journaling for accountability. Each night, Tanasia reflects on three key questions. One, where did I honor my truth today? Two, where did I betray my inner voice and why? Three, what can I do tomorrow to live more authentically? This practice is a powerful tool for developing self-awareness and intentionality. It encourages us to celebrate the moments when we stood in our truth, to learn from the times we fell short, and to constantly realign ourselves with our deepest values. Another affirmation Tanasia uses speaks to the heart of soft living. I release the need to control outcomes and trust in divine timing. This is perhaps one of the most challenging aspects of embracing softness. Many of us resist this approach because it feels like relinquishing control. But Tanasia reframes surrender as an act of faith and empowerment. It's about trusting in something larger than ourselves, whether we conceive of that as a divine plan, the natural unfolding of life, or the collective wisdom of the universe. What's particularly striking about Tanasia's approach is how it links personal transformation with legacy. She challenges us to think about softness not just as a personal practice, but as a gift we give to future generations. The way we show up in our relationships, our work, and our communities sends ripples through time. By choosing to live softly, rooted in accountability, vulnerability, and intentionality, we model a new way of being for those who come after us. Tanasia shared a powerful example of this from her own life. As a mother, she's seen how her commitment to softness has influenced her children. Her daughter, at just 16 years old, is already an entrepreneur and author, embodying a level of confidence and grace that Tanasia couldn't have imagined at that age. Her young adult sons are pursuing their dreams with clarity and courage, inspired by the example of authenticity she strives to set. This is the power of living in alignment. It not only transforms us, but also inspires those around us to rise into their highest selves. It creates a ripple effect of healing, growth, and positive change that extends far beyond our individual lives. Now, let's dive deeper into how this philosophy of softness can revolutionize our approach to leadership and problem solving in professional settings. Tanasia's work in the utility industry provides a fascinating case study of how soft strength can be applied to some of the most complex and high stakes challenges we face as a society. In her role as a gas connections manager, Tanasia is at the forefront of discussions about environmental justice and sustainable energy. These are issues that often pit different stakeholders against each other: environmentalists versus industry, regulators versus businesses, local communities versus large corporations. The traditional approach to these conflicts often involves hardline negotiations, adversarial tactics, and a win lose mentality. But Tanasia brings a different energy to these discussions. She creates what she calls a sacred space in these meetings, an environment where all voices are heard, all perspectives are valued, and the focus is on finding solutions that benefit everyone. This isn't about being passive or avoiding conflict. On the contrary, it requires immense strength and courage to hold space for differing viewpoints and to remain open in the face of tension. Tanasia shared a specific example of how this approach led to a breakthrough in a particularly contentious negotiation. Her team was working on a project that would bring cleaner energy to a low income community, but there were significant concerns from local residents about disruption during the construction phase. Instead of pushing forward with the corporate agenda or giving in to pressure to abandon the project, Tanasia facilitated a series of community dialogues. She encouraged her corporate colleagues to listen, really listen to the community's concerns. She created space for local leaders to share their visions for their neighborhood. And she invited everyone to imagine possibilities that could address both the company's goals and the community's needs. The result? An innovative partnership emerged. The company agreed to adjust its timeline and construction methods to minimize disruption. In return, they gained enthusiastic community support for the project, but it didn't stop there. Inspired by the dialogue, local youth proposed a job training program that would prepare residents for careers in the green energy sector. The company embraced this idea, seeing it as an opportunity to invest in their future workforce while addressing historical inequities. This outcome wasn't just a win-win. It was a transformation of the entire dynamic between the corporation and the community. And it all stemmed from Tanasia's willingness to create a soft space amidst hard negotiations. But let's be clear, this kind of softness is not about being a pushover or avoiding difficult conversations. In fact, it often requires more courage than traditional tough negotiation tactics. Tanasia emphasizes that soft strength involves setting clear boundaries and being willing to speak uncomfortable truths. She shared another powerful story that illustrates this point. In a high level meeting with industry regulators, Tanasia noticed that the conversation was veering away from the real issues at hand. Everyone was tiptoeing around the elephant in the room, the fact that current policies were perpetuating environmental injustice in certain communities. In that moment, Tanasia had a choice. She could stay silent and maintain the polite professional atmosphere, or she could speak up and potentially ruffle some feathers. Drawing on her commitment to soft strength, she chose to speak her truth. With compassion but unwavering clarity, Tanasia named the issue that everyone was avoiding. She shared stories from the communities affected by these policies, bringing human face to what had been abstract discussions, and she challenged everyone in the room to do better. The immediate reaction was tension. You could have heard a pin drop in that room, but then something remarkable happened. One by one, others began to speak up, sharing their own concerns and ideas for change. What could have been a confrontational moment became a catalyst for honest dialogue and ultimately policy reform. This is the power of soft strength in action. It's not about avoiding conflict or always being agreeable. It's about creating space for truth, even when, especially when, that truth is uncomfortable. It's about leading with empathy and vulnerability, which paradoxically allows us to stand more firmly in our convictions. Now, you might be thinking, this sounds great in theory, but how do I actually put this into practice in my own life? Tanasia offers several practical strategies for cultivating soft strength. One, practice radical honesty. Start with yourself. Use Tanasia's journaling prompts to reflect on where you're honoring your truth and where you're betraying it. Then gradually extend this honesty to your interactions with others. Remember, the goal isn't to be brutally honest, but to speak your truth with compassion. Two, create sacred spaces. In your personal life, this might mean setting aside time for self reflection or having intentional conversations with loved ones. In professional settings, it could involve redesigning meeting structures to encourage more open dialogue or creating physical spaces that foster creativity and vulnerability. Three, embrace discomfort. Soft strength isn't about avoiding discomfort, it's about moving towards it with curiosity and compassion. When you feel the urge to armor up or shut down, take a breath and ask yourself, what truth is trying to emerge here? Four, cultivate emotional intelligence. Soft strength requires a high degree of emotional awareness, both of your own feelings and those of others. Practice naming your emotions without judgment and tune into the emotional undercurrents in your interactions with others. Five, redefine power. Start noticing where you equate power with force, domination, or invulnerability. Challenge these assumptions. Look for examples of soft strength in action around you and celebrate them. Six, connect with your lineage. Tanasia's work with ancestral healing reminds us that we don't exist in isolation. Explore your own family history and cultural heritage. How can you honor the strength of those who came before you while healing generational wounds? Seven, practice surrender. This doesn't mean giving up or becoming passive. It's about releasing the illusion of control and trusting in a larger process. Start small. Maybe it's letting go of the need to plan every detail of a project or trusting a colleague to handle a task their way instead of yours. As we near the end of our time together, I want to leave you with a challenge, one that I believe has the power to transform not just individual lives, but our entire society. Tanasia puts it this way: softness is not a retreat, it's a revolution. I invite you to explore where you've resisted softness in your own life. Where have you equated strength with rigidity, success with relentless pushing? What would change if you approach these situations with curiosity instead of control, with surrender instead of resistance? Consider this. What if softness is how we heal, not just ourselves, but our communities and our world? What if it's the key to shifting from surviving to thriving, from self sacrifice to self love? What if the path to true power and lasting change isn't about fighting harder, but about opening up more fully to our own truth and the truths of those around us? These are big questions, I know. They challenge some of our most deeply held beliefs about success, strength, and what it means to live a good life. But that's exactly why they're so important, because the challenges we face as individuals, as communities, as a global society demand new ways of thinking and being. They require us to be both soft and strong, open and accountable, vulnerable and powerful. Tanasia Poke's journey and teachings offer us a roadmap for this new way of being. They show us that true transformation, the kind that ripples out to change families, communities, and even generations, begins with the courageous act of honoring our own truth, no matter what. As we close, I want to share one last affirmation from Tanasia, one that I hope will stay with you long after this talk ends. I am soft and I am strong. My softness is my sanctuary and my strength is my peace. I challenge you to take these words to heart, to explore what softness truly means for you, to practice radical accountability to your own truth, to create sacred spaces in your life and work where authenticity and vulnerability are not just allowed, but celebrated. Because here's the truth: the world doesn't need more people armored against life's challenges. It needs more people brave enough to be soft, to feel deeply, to listen openly, to lead with empathy and authenticity. It needs people willing to do the hard work of healing themselves so they can contribute to healing our world. This is the revolution Tanasia Poke invites us to join. a revolution of softness, of sacred space, of radical accountability to our deepest truths. It's a revolution that begins within each of us, but has the power to transform everything around us. So I leave you with this call to action: embrace your soft strength, create sacred spaces in your life and work. Be part of this quiet but powerful revolution. Start today by asking yourself, where can I bring more softness into my life? Where can I create space for deeper truth and authenticity? Share your journey with others. Inspire them with your courage to be soft and strong. Challenge the norms in your workplace, your relationships, your community. Be the change that ripples out and transforms the world around you. Remember, in the words of Tanasia Poke, softness is how we heal, grow, and create lives of meaning. It's how we shift from surviving to thriving, from self sacrifice to self love. And it starts with one simple, radical choice: to honor your truth no matter what. The choice is yours, the power is within you. Are you ready to revolutionize your life and our world through the radical power of softness? The time is now. The world is waiting. Let your soft strength shine. Thank you.